Hello again everyone, welcome back to the channel. Now today I'm exploring Ribchester, a quiet village in Lancashire that 2,000 years ago was a home to soldiers, horses and movement. So join me today as we take a look at Bremetennacum Veteranorum. Bremetennacum Veteranorum was a cavalry fort that guarded the crossing of the River Ribble and also the roads that threaded their way through the northwest of Britain. It wasn't just a frontier outpost out there in the wilderness, it was chosen very, very carefully. It controlled things like river traffic, the road networks, and access into the Pennines and beyond. The Roman story of Ribchester begins in the 70s AD, during the Romans' campaigns to secure northern Britain. Around 72 or 73 AD, the 20th Legion Valeria Victrix built a timber fort there, under the command of Quintus Petilius Cerialis. At this point, Roman control over the north was fragile. The Brigantes had only recently been subdued, and forts like Ribchester were part of a wider military web, designed to control movement and suppress rebellion. The early fort was practical and functional. Timber ramparts, internal barracks, a headquarters building, built for speed rather than permanence. By the early 2nd century, however, Ribchester had proven its value. Around 120 AD, it was rebuilt in stone, a clear message that Rome intended to stay. At this stage, Ribchester became home to a cavalry auxiliary unit from Spain, the Ala Secunda Asturum, and these were professional horsemen who were recruited in northern Spain, and their arrival transformed the character of the site. Cavalry forts tended to be different to infantry ones. They required extensive stabling, larger granaries in order to feed both men and horses, and also a large area for training and manoeuvres, meaning that Ribchester was now a specialist military installation. Alongside the fort, a civilian settlement, a vicus, began to grow, with the normal tale of traders, craftsmen, families and veterans settling nearby, creating a permanent community linked to the military economy. In 175 AD, Ribchester's story took an extraordinary turn. Following campaigns along the Danube frontier, Emperor Marcus Aurelius transferred 500 Sarmatian cavalry to Britain. These were heavily armoured horsemen from the Eurasian steppe, and they were visually, culturally and tactically very different to the Romans and the local Britons. They were stationed at Ribchester, replacing the Spanish auxiliaries, and this wasn't a temporary posting. Inscriptions and later documents suggest that the Sarmatians stayed for generations, settling locally, marrying and becoming part of the landscape of Roman Britain. Ribchester's full Roman name, Bremetennacum Veteranorum, probably reflects this later phase, marking it as a place of retired soldiers. What survives from Ribchester tells us a lot. We have found altars to Mercury and Mars, and more importantly to Apollo Meponus, showing a blend of Roman and Brittonic culture. We have also found tombstones commemorating cavalrymen, often shown as being triumphant, even in death. The soldiers of Ribchester were not just anonymous soldiers. These were men whose origins stretched from Spain all the way to the Black Sea, living and dying in Roman Britain. One discovery above all has come to define Ribchester: In 1796, a hoard of Roman cavalry equipment was discovered near the fort, and within that hoard was found what is now known as the Ribchester helmet. Made from a copper alloy and once brightly polished, this helmet was probably not for battle, but instead for display, for things like ceremonial events to show off discipline, wealth, and power. During the 3rd and 4th centuries, Ribchester continued to evolve. The fort layout was modified, large stone granaries were built, and occupation seems to have gone on well into the late Roman period. Coins in the area suggest an occupation almost up to the Roman withdrawal in the early 5th century. At the heart of the modern village of Ribchester stands Ribchester Roman Museum, which inside it has altars, inscriptions, tombstones, pottery, and a replica of the Ribchester helmet, helping us to get a sense of a community that developed as a result of the Roman army over the course of 3 centuries. Ribchester is a reminder that Roman Britain was never isolated. Soldiers from Spain and the Eurasian steppe lived here, worshipped here, and were buried here. Underneath a quiet village lies a story of empire, identity, and adaptation. But thank you very much for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It helps immensely, and I'll see you on the next one. Ciao for now.